Guys, I just got breaking news right now from NASCAR. Carl Edwards is going to be back in NASCAR. Well, sort of. So what is up, everyone? My name is Jack Ross from NASCAR on MDK. Welcome back to another episode here of Inside the Lines. Today we have three stories to talk about here, ladies and gentlemen. One regarding iRacing and the ratings that just came out yesterday afternoon, and two stories regarding one with the future of NASCAR on real life on the racetrack, and another regarding the next possible class of NASCAR's Hall of Fame. Let's not waste any time with our first story here of the day. Like I said, the iRacing ratings from Sunday's NASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational from the Bristol Motor Speedway, with everything that took place, the cars crashing, tempers flaring, Bubba Wallace rage quitting, which, by the way, I should say, thank you guys so much for the support. I mean, 6,000 views. I was not expecting that. Thank you to people that are that watched that episode. Hope you guys did enjoy that. Again, if you guys want more Inside Lights episodes as well as other forms of content here on MDK, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe for more content. All right. So that's it for the plug. Now let's get into the story. So Adam Stern posted on Twitter the rating from Sunday's iRacing event at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and it says that Fox Sports earned a 0.71 rating and 1.179 million viewers for Sunday's NASCAR Pro Invitational Series from virtual Bristol. That's off from a 0.81 rating and 1.339 million viewers the prior week at virtual Texas. This was expected mainly because of the amount of cautions that, I mean, look, from a broadcast standpoint, it was very entertaining with Clint Boyer and with Bubba Wallace and Suarez and Larson wrecking into each other. But from a race perspective, that was god-awful. I mean, caution after caution after caution after caution. I don't even know. Again, it got so bad to the point where iRacing had to implement or had to force drivers to do restarts single file because it was getting so bad. I don't even know if we got at least 10 laps of green flag racing in the main race. I'm not sure. I know we got a lot of green flag racing in the heat races, but I don't think we got more than 10 in the actual main event. So based on that alone, I'm not surprised that the rating was a lot lower compared to last weekend at Texas. Now, there will be no iRacing events this Sunday due to it being Easter weekend. They're going to NASCAR and Fox Sports will give the drivers a day off. There was an idea floating around that NASCAR and Fox would try to have a Daytona virtual race on Easter weekend, but that was scrapped. Give the weekend off for family and friends to spend time and just have a weekend off. There's always been a NASCAR tradition to always have Easter weekend off, and it looks like they're going to follow suit even in the virtual world. But they will be back the following week, I believe, at virtual Richmond, so that should be fun to look forward to. It's a lot bigger than Bristol. Hopefully it won't be as much of a wreck fest as it was at Bristol. Next up is regarding the future of NASCAR on the racetrack. Now, I'm not going to try and sneak on the word, the coronavirus. It's here. I don't know why YouTube is trying to hush about it. It's here. Everyone knows about it. Might as well talk about it. So we now know that, or at least we know that NASCAR, they have been off since mid-March, I want to say. Last month, basically, after Phoenix. And originally their plans were to race in May. More than likely that's not going to happen. But Adam Stern did post a tweet yesterday morning regarding the possibility that NASCAR would run without fans. He says here, quote, NASCAR has been in discussions with track executives over the logistics of running races with no fans, a further indication of what may be the most likely scenario to get the sport restarted. NASCAR may have to develop a rapid testing plan for those allowed in shops/garages. And one thing I noticed on Twitter that NASCAR was looking or sent out sort of a poll on NASCAR's fan council to give fans or have fans the opinion on, I believe, whether they should do races with or without fans, which if you're going to give that to the fans, more than likely fans are going to say, oh, no, wait for us. But honestly, at this rate, I don't care if there are fans in the stands or not. And I don't think any of you guys should care if there are fans in the stands or not. I just want racing to come back, okay? I don't care if there's one fan or 50,000 fans. I don't care if there's 0 fans. We know the issue that's going on in this world. More than likely, it's going to take months before the world is somewhat, specifically in America, is somewhat comfortable or somewhat be able to be allowed in large gatherings for an event. it's going to take months because, let's be honest, America was very late on the trend to get ready for this virus. So as a result of that, it's going to take longer for us to sort of overcome this virus. Because of that, we cannot wait until, oh, it's safe for the fans. We have to go, NASCAR, specifically NASCAR, they have to jump at it. They have to get the season started as soon as possible, regardless if there are fans in the stands or not. So if NASCAR were to come and say, hey, remainder of the season, no fans, I'd be like, you know what, disappointed, but I get it. And I was very disappointed to see a lot of fans on social media sort of getting on NASCAR, saying, oh, NASCAR doesn't care about the fans, they don't care about us, they're willing to run without us. It's like, guys, it might take till October, or God knows how long it's going to take, for fans to be able to be allowed to attend large gathering events. So we're going to wait till October? No, NASCAR has to get the season started as soon as possible, or restarted as soon as possible. So if NASCAR does go ahead and make the decision to run the rest of the season, or how many races without fans, I see no problem with this. Because another reason why NASCAR needs to get the season as quick as possible and not think about the fans is that it can have an effect depending on the longer this sort of this break, you can call it a break, goes, the more it's going to hurt the smaller teams. This is a quote coming from 𝘼𝘀𝗶𝗱𝗏 Racing regarding how he is taking in the effects of the coronavirus. He says here, quote, 𝘼𝘀𝗶𝗏 Racing owner Rick Ware said the shutdown of racing due to the coronavirus pandemic has, quote-unquote, dramatically complicated things from a financial standpoint, as his NASCAR Cup Series teams probably will lose $600,000 to $800,000 in sponsorship. Appearing on Sirius XM yesterday, Ware said, quote, some of our sponsorship revolves around the social media, the amount of TV time, the way sponsors leverage. Some of it is they're regional or franchise companies, so they bring in a handful of people and use it to do some light hospitality. Ware said the team has, quote-unquote, had reasonably decent sponsors on its cars. That's also a very good thing to say, or part in there. They've had really decent sponsors, you know, with Jacob Companies and people like that. What about the teams like Premium Motorsports or MBM Motorsports? Hell, look at some of the teams in Xfinity Series or even the Truck Series that probably don't have solid sponsors. The longer this drought goes, the more it's going to hurt the smaller teams. And more than likely, we could see more teams shut down. We already saw a team, an Xfinity team, shut down a week or two into this hiatus. And the longer, and now it's been a month, the longer this drought goes, the more and more it's just going to hurt the smaller teams. And we could see more teams shut down. That's why, again, I don't understand why people are so against NASCAR running until the fans are allowed to be there. It's like teams come first, to be fair, than with the fans. And I get that. The sponsors, you know, are there because of the fans, and it works together. If there are fans there are sponsors there. But at the same time, if there are no cars on the track, sponsors cannot sponsor the cars, which means teams will lose money. If there are no races, teams are not able to earn their paycheck. They're not able to race in order to get money, in order to pay off for the cars, in order to pay off for the expenses or whatever. That's why NASCAR, and I applaud NASCAR, they're looking for any possible situation in order to get the season restarted, with or without fans, doing, you know, doubleheader races, you know, racing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, trying to make sure they can get as many races as possible to not only please Fox Sports, NBC Sports, because of the ads that they put up, which is supposed to take place for 36 races, or the remaining 30, and also trying to appeal to the teams to make sure they run as many races as possible to ensure that they can get as much money into their infrastructure as possible. I'm going off a bit here because I'm really just speaking from the head, speaking from my mind, because it's very fluid. And what's also fluid is NASCAR's way of how they restart the season. Again, this is from Adam Stern. NASCAR has 4 different possibilities, 4 various rescheduled events regarding the future of NASCAR and the remainder of the 2020 season. Now, NASCAR gave out 4 possible scenarios. The first one would be the 8-week delay, and with which they would return to Martinsville. More than likely, that's not going to happen due to the Virginia governor instituting a stay-at-home order until June 10th. So, more than likely, that won't happen. The next thing on the list would be a 10-week delay. That would have the season start back up again at the Coke 600 on Memorial Day weekend. If that doesn't work, then they will delay it by another 2 weeks for make it a 12-week delay. Now, it's unclear at which track it would begin at, but more than likely it could be Texas. And that doesn't work. 15 weeks, which will be around June, July. I want to say either late June or early July. Could be wrong about that. Which they could restart possibly at the Brickyard. And if that's the case, more than likely the season would have to go into December, which would be the first time I think that has ever happened in NASCAR in the modern era, where the season goes into December. Again, all this is very, very fluid at the moment because we really don't know how long this virus is going to last. Because to be fair, we haven't seen the virus hit its peak yet. We haven't seen it at its peak, at its worst. So we really don't know how long this virus is going to affect American society. We don't know how long it's going to sort of affect, or see how long this virus is going to affect sports events. You know, again, there is that possibility that if NASCAR does not, I say 15 weeks, that 15-week delay, if they cannot get the season back up by early July, I do not see the season getting back going. Because yes, you know, you can do as many doubleheaders as possible, but you have to understand also, with North Carolina's stay-at-home order, 30 days. With that in place, that means the teams cannot work on their cars. And if they can't work on their cars, that means they can't be ready for the racetrack once the season gets going again. Let's say if it does eventually get going again, and they're going to have to prepare cars for, let's say, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. That's impossible if there was a stay-at-home order in North Carolina. So, again, a lot of things are very fluid at the moment. But if NASCAR is not able to get started in July, I do not see the season, or I do not see another lap turn in the 2020 season. Because, again, teams also have to get ready for 2021. You know, depending on how long this wait is, and let's say the season then goes into January, teams are going to have to get ready for the 500, which will then take place a couple weeks later. Let's say if the season goes into January. Just so many things are going, so many things are moving. I just think it'd be too much for the teams to handle. But again, this is very fluid at the moment. This is just a proposed schedule, or at least 4 proposed schedules for NASCAR on what they could do. Either an 8-week delay, which will start at Martinsville, a 10-week delay, which will start with the Coke 600, a 12-week delay, most likely start at Texas, or a 15-week delay, which will most likely start with the Brickyard 400, and it could have the season go through December. If they don't start by July, I don't see NASCAR being having another lap turn in 2020. But now let's finally end off this episode with much more happy news. Earlier yesterday morning, I want to say, or in the afternoon, NASCAR released its names for the nominees for the 2021 class of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Now, NASCAR has separated the list into 3 different categories. A modern era list, which self-explanatory, drivers or people that have an influence on NASCAR from the 70s on up. The Pioneer Era or Award, which, again, self-explanatory, drivers or people that are from previous to the 70s or previous to the Winston Cup era. Or now, the Landmark Award. This is for people that have had a historical impact, a significant impact on the history of NASCAR. And I believe it's around 21 people, I want to say, that's on this list. So we're going to read every single person off on this ballot because they deserve its recognition. We start off first with the modern era ballot. We start off first with Neil Bonnett, who is an 18-time winner of the NASCAR Cup Series, including consecutive Coca-Cola 600 victories. Jeff Burton, NASCAR and NBC analyst, 21-time NASCAR Cup winner, including a victory in the Southern 500 and 2 Coca-Cola 600s. NASCAR's most popular driver for the 15 times in a row, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 2-time Xfinity Series champion and 2-time Daytona 500 champion. Carl Edwards, we might be able to see him for the first time in God knows how long, winner of 28 Cup races and the 2007 Xfinity Series champion, and a driver that seems to manage to choke out 2 or 3 NASCAR championships in his entire career. Here again, Mr. November, winner of 18 NASCAR Cup races, including 2 Southern 500 victories. Harry Hyde, the 1970 NASCAR Cup Series Championship crew chief. Larry Phillips, the first 5-time NASCAR Weekly Series national champion. Ricky Rudd, the Rooster, 23-time Cup winner, including the 1997 Brickyard 400. 𝘼𝘀𝗶𝗲, you might remember him for being on top of the pit box for Dale Earnhardt. He's a 4-time NASCAR Cup Series Championship crew chief. And finally, Mike Stefanik, a winner of a record-tying 9 NASCAR championships. I believe 7 was in the modified division, and another 2 was in the NASCAR Busch Tour. He ties Richie Evans for most NASCAR championships. He might get the ballot into it posthumously. I can't pronounce that right. As a result of him passing away in a plane crash last September. Now on to the Pioneer ballot. Jake Elder, a 3-time NASCAR Cup Series Championship crew chief. Red Farmer, a 3-time NASCAR Late Model Sportsman Championship, including the 1956 Modified Champion. Banjo Matthews, who built cars that won more than 250 NASCAR Cup Series races and won 3 championships in the process. Herschel McGriff, the 1986 NASCAR Wet Series Championship. Ralph Moody, a 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion owner and a mechanical genius of Holman Moody. And finally, onto our landmark award. As I said earlier, these are the people that have had a significant impact on the history of NASCAR. We started with Janet Guthrie, the first female to compete in the NASCAR Cup Series Super Speedway race, and I believe also the first woman to lead a lap in the Daytona 500. Alvin Hawkins, NASCAR's first flagman, established NASCAR racing at Bowman Gray Stadium with Bill France Sr. How about Mike Helton on this list? The 3rd president of NASCAR, beginning in 2000. Career included track operator roles at Atlanta Motor Speedway and Talladega Super Speedway. Dr. Joseph Mattioli, the founder of Pocono Raceway. And finally, Ralph Seagraves, who formed groundbreaking Winston NASCAR partnership as executive with R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. So really, if you want to thank for basically where we are today, more than likely you have to thank Ralph Seagraves for getting that NASCAR Winston Cup partnership in place. So hopefully we were able to end up the show on a good note for you guys, with a lot of bad news in the middle, some interesting news at the start of the show, but on the end, some good news with Junior, who more than likely is going to get in the Hall of Fame. We might see Carl Edwards for the first time out of hiding and God knows how long. And ultimately, a really stacked class for the 2021 Hall of Fame. But that's going to conclude this episode of Inside the Lines here on MDK. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and tell me in the comment section down below, what are you guys' thoughts on any of the stories I talked about on this show regarding, do you think NASCAR is going to have the possibility of returning to racing in 2020, or do you think NASCAR is just going to cancel it out entirely? And also, what are you guys' thoughts on the class of 2021 with the nominees listed potentially to be in the Hall of Fame next January? Tell me everything. What are you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below? Also, thank you guys so much for all the support you've been giving me throughout this channel. I love what's happening with this channel. The growth has been tremendous, and I'll make sure to pump out some more content with you a lot more consistently, even though we're in a world where we're being closed in. Hopefully I can offer you guys some content and get off you guys' minds from everything that's going on in the world, and offer you some form of entertainment. But until next time, my name is 𝘃𝑗𝑗 from NASCAR on MDK. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Make sure you hit that bell to get as much content from me as possible. And I'll see you guys in the next video.